Welcome to Risho Koseikai International of North America. We are grateful for the opportunity and happy to share with you the Dharma Dojo Lecture Series called Zen and the Art of the Lotus Sutra Practice with Masaki Matsubara. He earned a Ph.D. in Asian religions from Cornell University. He taught at the Department of Religious Studies at UC Berkeley and was the BDK Fellow at the Ho Center for Buddhist Studies at Stanford University. He is now a visiting scholar in the East Asia program at Cornell and also a visiting lecturer at the Contemplative Studies at Brown University. Moreover, he serves as a visiting professor at Interfaculty Initiative in Information Studies at the University of Tokyo. He is the abbot of the Zen temple Butsumoji in Chiba Prefecture, Japan. He currently resides in New York City. This is the first lecture out of 8, recorded on March 7, 2021, titled Sexual Transformations in Mahayana Scriptures.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to see you all again here at the Dharma Dojo. And last time we started Dharma Dojo, I was in New York City. But now here I'm in Tokyo. And this Friday, I'm coming back to New York. So I'm excited to be in the United States, in the same country as you are right now. And the most importantly, I'm very happy and very honored to be able to study together. Dharma Dojo's topic is Zen and the Art of the Lotus Sutra Practice. And I was wondering what kind of lectures you might be interested in and what kind of lectures I can offer. And subtitle is Mahayana Buddhism and Meditation. And today, in Zen tradition, in order to think about the connection to the Lotus Sutra, I want to start with introducing the 2 chapters of Lotus Sutra. Japanese Zen has been really depending on. One of the chapters is the chapter 12, the chapter on Dragon's Daughter. And the other chapter is 25. That is the chapter on Bodhisattva Kannon. Today, I would like to introduce one of the important themes of Mahayana traditions, that is sexual transformation in the tradition, in its history. And as you have already known very well the story of the chapter 12, I will briefly talk about that chapter. And I would like to introduce very similar stories of the sexual transformations in the Mahayana traditions. This lecture today explores the concept of women's experiences of sexual transformation in the context of Indian Buddhist literatures, especially Mahayana Scriptures. The motif of women's sexual transformation is undoubtedly one of the most important and fascinating themes in the Mahayana Buddhism. In particular, the importance of studying this topic reveals the relationship between the female body, the Bodhisattva path, and the Buddhahood, and therefore reveals one of the Mahayana's arguments, which is Buddha nature. As you know very well, Buddha nature, everyone has a Buddha nature, and thus everyone can become a Buddha. Or let's say everyone is a Buddha. Moreover, the importance of studying this topic reveals a critical angle from which to rethink not only Mahayana's position in the context of early Indian Buddhism, but also the entire process of Mahayana's formative development. The Lotus Sutra's 12th chapter of Devadatta provides one of the most typical, straightforward, and fascinating cases of sexual transformation from a woman to a man. More specifically, it describes the scene in which the 8-year-old daughter of the Dragon King Sagara is transformed into a male who simultaneously carries out all the bodhisattva practices and attains Buddhahood. Let me repeat. This daughter is transformed into a male, this is important, who simultaneously carries out all the bodhisattva practices and attains Buddhahood. The instantaneous achievement of both the bodhisattva path and the Buddhahood, which is led by the dragon girl's sexual transformation, clearly overturns the concept of the traditional view of the Buddhist path. As Shapliptra mentions in the text clearly, the practitioners must expect to conduct hard practice and spend thousands of billions of eons of kalpas of innumerable additional lifetimes to complete. That is a traditional view of path. Moreover, the attainment of Buddhahood is not necessarily promised in this lifetime. Therefore, the uniqueness of this story can be seen in the sudden attainment of such a long road and its final goal. This aspect of this story characterizes a completely new spiritual orientation, which is called Mahayana. I would like to introduce this story, the Noble Sutra entitled Inquiry the Young Girl Smarty. This text describes the sexual transformation of an 8-year-old girl called Smarty, the daughter of Ugra, the householder. One day, she proceeds to a mountain where a Buddha resides and asks him about the bodhisattva practices. More specifically, she asks how to become beautiful, to have great wealth, quote, to be reborn in the presence of a king of the Dharma on 1,000-petaled lotus, and so forth. Actually, I'm showing all the quotations on the website, on the screen. After the Buddha admires Smarty for her questions, the Buddha gives her a series of instructions consisting of a total of 40 bodhisattva practices. Then Smarty makes a vow to conduct all of those practices perfectly, saying, "Oh Lord, if I fail to carry out even one of the 40 items as you have pronounced them, may I be cheated out of acquiring the body of a Tathagata." At that moment, Smarty is immediately challenged by the elder disciple, who declares that the Bodhisattva career is exceedingly difficult. And moreover, he doubts her completion of the path. In this point, it goes without saying that the elder disciple definitely sees her insufficient potentiality or ability in engaging in the Bodhisattva deeds. For this doubt, the elder disciple, Sumati performs 2 acts of truth. Especially the second act is remarkable for the purpose of this talk. She states, please look at the quotation number 3. If it is true that in the future, I will become a Tathagata, just like the Tathagata Arahat, Samyak Sambodha Shakyamuni, and that in my Buddha field, no Mara will appear, and not even the names of the lower rivers will be found, and it will be free from the faults of humankind. Then by this truth and this statement of truth, may this assembly turn golden in color. At that moment, the entire assembly turns to the color of gold. This success of her act of truth means having the guarantee that Sumati will definitely attain Buddhahood in the future. After this miraculous happening, then Sumati is still challenged by Manjushri, Bodhisattva Manjushri, with his series of questions, especially asking the concept of existence and non-existence, and thus that of non-dualism. While Sumati displays the full of her high knowledge in replying all of Manjushri's questions, the Bodhisattva Manjushri praises her and shows his satisfaction of her understanding of the Dharma, paying homage to her, but leaving one more question. Manjushri asks the decisive question without hesitation. Please look at quotation number 4. Why does the teacher not also change out of her female body? In response, Sumati replies with a non-discriminate thought of male and female and performs her last act of truth. Please look at the quotation number 5. O Manjushri, this is a woman, this is a man, are the result of objectivizing. You should become free of doubts about this. If it is true that in the future, I shall become a Tathagata, an Arahat, a Samyak Sambodha Buddha, then by that truth, may I become a man. Just at that moment, her female body disappeared, and she was a male wearing a saffron robe, quotation number 6. Moreover, she is transformed into a monk who has been fully ordained for 30 years. Shakyamuni then shows his prophecy of her future attainment of Buddhahood, where she will appear as a Tathagata. In the summary of the story, the most noteworthy point can be seen in the conflict between the rhetoric of non-duality of gender and Sumati's actual experience of sex change. In other words, the importance of the concept of Buddha nature is supported by the concept of non-duality. Next, I would like to introduce Vimaladatta Pariputra, a discourse on ready eloquence. In this sutra, a different case of sexual transformation can be seen. This text has three parts. First, the discussions of doctrinal discourses between the Buddha's disciples, 8 Shravakas and 8 Bodhisattvas, and King Prasenajit's 8-year-old daughter, Pure Giving. Actually, Pure Giving, is the subject of this text. Second, her possession of a male body through transformation. And third, the Buddha's prophecy of her attainment of Buddhahood. After the little girl, Pure Giving discussions with the Buddha's disciples, the scene in which she displays her own deep considerations on the concept of the ultimate truth in nature, and in turn asks each of the disciples about their thoughts of it in a variety of examples. The disciples repeat their speechless responses to her irrefutable questions. And finally, all of them decide to visit the Buddha to ask. Arriving at the Buddha's presence, the girl, Pure Giving, joining her hands, worships with bend of her head the Buddha's feet, shows her deep devotion in verses, and asks him about what the Bodhisattva path is. Having heard the Buddha's instruction of the Bodhisattva path, which consists of a total of 24 practices, Pure Giving makes a vow to complete all the practice, saying, please look at quotation number 7. If I fail to follow even one of the practices that the world-honored one has taught, then I will be deceiving the Buddhas, now teaching the Dharma in the 10 directions. These scenes make the point of departure for the change of her sex in the text. Having made this vow, however, Pure Giving is rebuked by the virtuous Bodhisattva, Madhgariyana, who says, please look at the quotation number 8. How dare you make a lion's roar in front of the Buddha? Do you not know that the practices of a Bodhisattva are difficult to follow? No one can ever attain supreme enlightenment in a female form. Thereupon, Pure Giving responds to this claim, which represents the disqualification of a female body for the attainment of Buddhahood, by performing an act of truth, acting to become a male. The text describes the dramatic scene. Please look at the quotation number 9. As soon as Pure Giving made this sincere declaration, the billion world universe quoted in the 6 ways. Celestial flowers showered from the sky. Hundreds of thousands of celestial instruments gave forth music spontaneously. And Pure Giving changed from a girl into a boy of 16. Having confronted these amazing events, the Bodhisattva Madhgariyana pays homage to all Bodhisattvas and praises her merits and miraculous power that make it possible to accomplish a transformation right away. The Buddha then smiles emits 6 kinds of lights from his mouth, illuminates all the world systems, and announces that pure giving will attain Buddhahood in the future. Moreover, he addresses this speech to Ananda. Please look at the quotation number 10. Bodhisattva pure giving had been treading the Bodhisattva path for 60 kalpas when the Dharma Prince Manjushri resolved to become a Bodhisattva. Ananda, to match the merits and magnificent attributes of Bodhisattva pure giving's future Buddha land, it would take all the merits and magnificent attributes of the future Buddha lands of the 86,000 great Bodhisattvas, including Manjushri. After all this, the story turns over in terms of her gender. While pure giving comes to become a male, she, now he, is again challenged by Bodhisattva Margariyana, who says, look at the quotation 11, virtuous maiden, you resolved to attain supreme enlightenment long ago. Why do you not change from a female into a male? This quotation actually implies that he has retransformed into her female figure. She replies, please look at quotation 12. The world-honored one says that you stand first in the achievement of miraculous powers. Why do you not change from a male into a female? While Bodhisattva Madhurayana remained speechless, pure giving continues. One does not attain supreme enlightenment by means of a female body, nor a male one. Body does not come into being. Therefore, it is beyond attainment. The story ends with the Buddha's prophecy that she will definitely become a Buddha, and her future Buddhahood will be called immeasurable merits and glories. One of the important points of this story can be seen in the fact that while pure giving exhibits her knowledge on the non-duality of gender, she also comes to retain her female figure in attainment of Buddhahood. Let me repeat. While pure giving exhibits her knowledge on the non-duality of gender, she also comes to retain her female figure in attaining Buddhahood. This aspect would be the most remarkable in this text. The stories of both the dragon's girl and Smarty do not show this aspect. Rather, these two girls maintain their male figures in the entire process until the attainment of Buddhahood. As we have seen the three stories in Mahayana Buddhism, the story of Dragon's daughter, the story of Smarty, and the story of pure giving. I suggest that each story shows the idea of Buddha nature and reveals Mahayana's tension as a new spiritual orientation with the traditional Buddhist climates. And this tension exposes the complexity of the historical development of the Mahayana Buddhism. in the historical developments in which Mahayana Buddhism cared about gender seriously. Again, Mahayana Buddhism emphasized on the idea of Buddha nature. Everyone has a potentiality to become a Buddha. In other words, everyone is a Buddha. Zen tradition really cherishes that idea and also develops the discourses of gender in terms of non-dualism, non-duality, or emptiness. Lotus Sutra, let's say, appeared around the 2nd century CE. Today, the Sutra of Sumati and the Sutra of Pure Giving probably appeared little after the appearance of Lotus Sutra. When we compare those three sutras, we can clearly see how Mahayana developed, how Mahayana tried to fight over the traditional Buddhist context, which are more male-dominant traditions and cultures. Again, Mahayana is a new spiritual orientation grown out of the traditional Buddhist context. Mahayana was originally a very little group. We don't know exactly the origin of Mahayana. Probably the origin of Mahayana can be seen in the lay Buddhist groups. Please look at the dragon's daughter story. Please look at the story of Sumati. Please look at the story of Pure Giving. They are not monks. First of all, they are women, and they are girls, children, and they are lay Buddhist. Those three are important elements Mahayana has been emphasizing as its own core. Lotus Sutra originally developing the idea of Buddha nature and based on the Buddha nature, and or in order to emphasize the idea of Buddha nature over the traditional Buddhist views, Mahayana needed to creative ideas, teachings, methods, and practices who can be used by lay practitioners as well. Zen tradition, learning from the Lotus Sutra, for that reason, even now, chanting almost every day the chapter 12 and chapter 25. The next class, next week, I would like to introduce the Zen idea of chapter 25. Thank you very much for listening to my talk today. And I think today's talk raises a lot of questions in many levels. But I would like to emphasize that this idea of gender is not talking about critical view of equality. Rather, I would like to say Mahayana seriously cared about gender in its formative development, fighting over the traditional Buddhist views, so that Mahayana needed a lot of creative examples, stories that attracted many lay people and young people. So I would like to say those three ideas, stories are like Mahayana's own advertisement as a new spiritual orientation.
Here's a chance for you to ask any question or comments to Dr. Reverend Matsubara.
Good evening,
Hey, Maggie.
Mr. Matsubara. Thank you very, very much. That was a wonderful talk you gave us. I'm asking you just a question of clarification, where you talked about how important it was for the Mahayana tradition to challenge this basic male gender kind of idea, and are you suggesting that the story of pure giving was put in sort of for that reason, and that it was somewhat artificial or made up for the reason of marketing? That's what I thought I heard you say, because the discussion between pure giving and Manjushri is a classic male-female discussion about women challenging the way men think. And it struck me at the end when even though you were quoting from Buddhist text, that maybe these were simply this, especially the last one, pure giving, who really challenged the men's way of thinking, was put there on purpose rather than because it actually happened.
Thank you very much, Maggie. It's a very interesting question, an important question. Even I said that those three ideas are probably representing the Mahayana's its own advertisement. But I would say Mahayana's core ideas is again the Buddha nature. And then based on the Buddha nature, as we know very well already though, everyone can become a Buddha, or everyone is a Buddha. And Mahayana really emphasizes the importance of who is everyone. Who is everyone? But for the Shravakas, like Shravakas, traditional Buddhist, like Manjushri, Shapriptora, for them, everyone means only monks, male monks. And Mahayana seriously resisted against that idea. Mahayana's idea of everyone is really everyone. Men and women, children, everyone equally can become a Buddha, or they are equally originally a Buddha. So that's why I thought very interested in having a story of pure giving, because pure giving is a girl and then transformed into a male, and then again re-transformed into a female. So what Mahayana want to say is that, who cares? Everyone can become a Buddha. Everyone is a Buddha. So even, of course, transformation, that is not the story, not the actual what happened, but that is mentioned as a teaching. And but scholarly speaking, it might be interesting, challenging argument. I would like to say, basically, as a scholar, I'm looking at the text as something that reflect social things. In that view, it might be a case at that time, really actual like a transformation, like a physical transformation, female to male and male to female. It might happen. I'm not surprised because I'm looking at the text as something reflecting social things at the time.
Yes. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, James.
Thank you for this absolutely wonderful subject. It seems to me this is a very similar situation to how all democratic nations deal with the notion of human rights and equality. That it is very easy to have the ideal, yet to realize it in practice is something that takes often, many generations. The ideal and knowing that they're a Buddha nature does not simply mean that the traditions of inequality between male and female simply disappear. I'm curious about one thing, and maybe you can help me understand. It is stated in many different places and in the passages that you say that the female body is tainted. Can you explain to me the sort of the history behind that and why that's asserted in numerous places? Is it because of karma that the female body is tainted? Just to understand the background a little bit.
It's a very good question. In the Buddhist text, in many places, I mean a traditional Buddhist text, like a woman is an inferior or is something hindrance. So I don't know exactly the origin of those ideas, where they come from. It's more, I have to study like a cultural kind of research on what kind of origin of the women's status in the Buddhist views. But always kind of women considered to be the inferior or something. I'm sorry, I need to look at the more like the origin of the traditional view of the women.
And it may go even back before the origins of Buddhism into the Brahmanic the Brahmanic beliefs that are in Hinduism.
Yeah, definitely. Buddhism came from Hinduism and also other local belief systems. So many Buddhism is not just an independent religion. It's coming from mixed belief systems.
Yes.
So we need to look into that kind of context as well.
Thank you.
Yes, hi, Reverend Matsubara. So happy that you're back teaching us. Thank you so much for your lecture, which is very thought-provoking, especially, I guess, for women. And I would like to know how all this was received by male monks.
So Mahayana Buddhism, including equally lay Buddhist practitioners as well. And so even lay Buddhist teachers as well. So all those texts are probably made by lay Buddhist practitioners. We don't know. it's very risky to say that all those sutras are received or written by male monks, because because we really don't know the origin of Mahayana. But there are many assumptions. One of the assumptions is Mahayana came from the lay people. And a second assumption is more hardcore Buddhist practitioners who are studying in practicing in the middle of the mountain, not in the city. Many different ideas, but I would like to say that those sutras, Mahayana sutras, are received by and written by not only male Buddhist monks, but also probably lay practitioners as well.
Thank you. Is there any reason why both of the girls were 8 years old? Does that mean anything?
That's a very good question. That is a very good question. When I look at, I was very interested in why Buddhist texts use always 8 years old girl. But really, I don't know the reason. And Pure Giving story said like a 16 years old boy as well. I don't know why 16 and why 8. I really don't know the idea. I tried to look into the reasons, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
Thank you. Just wanted to make a comment in line with what you've already shared. There's a quote from Dogen, and it's from the Essential Dogen Writings of a Great Zen Master. I don't know who translated it, but this is the quote that I saw. Those who are extremely stupid think that women are merely the objects of sexual desire and treat women in this way. The Buddha's children should not be like this. If we discriminate against women because we see them merely as objects of sexual desire, do we also discriminate against all men for the same reason? So I don't know if that's a true quote or not, but it came out of that book. But it kind of lends itself to what the discussion is today. So I thought I would offer it.
Thank you. It's Dog. You said Dogen?
Dogen.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I appreciate this subject and for you to address it. I appreciate it very much because it's something of a curiosity for modern practitioners.
Yes.
So I think it's great to address it. Thank you.
So Mahayana is always focusing on the Buddha nature. And then Buddha nature is based on the idea everyone is a Buddha. And everyone, and men and women, people living in all the world. In order to look at the importance of Buddha nature, Zen tradition uses a method which is called meditation. And that is the purpose why we use meditation. Again, the reason is to find our own Buddha nature. In Zen tradition, Buddha nature, the word Buddha nature is also replaced with true self. True self. Meditation is a means of finding our own true selves. Once we find our true selves, we understand the concept of Buddha nature. To understand the Buddha nature is to achieve enlightenment. To find true self means to attain enlightenment. We really don't know what enlightenment is, but more importantly, to see who we are, our own true self, our own Buddha nature. That is a very important practice. And in other words, if we understand the Buddha nature, we can understand the Lotus Sutra and the story of pure giving and the story of samadhi as well. Now we have 6 minutes. So in order to feel your Buddha nature, let's sit quietly for 3 minutes and think about the story of Dragon's Girl, the story of samadhi, the story of pure giving, what they really want to say, what they telling to you. Please think about what their message to you. Please close your eyes, straighten your back, find the most comfortable posture, relax your shoulders, slowly breathe in, and slowly breathe out. Slowly breathe in. Slowly breathe out. Think about what are the stories, stories, message to you. What are they really telling to you? When you breathe in, just be aware that you are breathing in. When you breathe out, just be aware that you are breathing out. Focus on your breathing itself. Think of how you think of those stories. If you are Dragon's Girl, if you are samadhi, if you are pure giving, what would you be doing? What would you be saying to Manjushri and other Buddhist practitioners? What is your response? once we find our own response based on the Buddha nature, we can't stop there. We have to use that in our actual life, in our actual societies. Dragon's Girl's story, Sumati's story, Pure Giving stories, they are not just stories. They are not just sutras. Actually, they are telling us to reconsider our actions, what we need to do in our life, in our society. If we are them, what would we doing? Open your eyes, relax your shoulders. Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be able to study at Dharma Dojo, and I'm looking forward to next week. Thank you very much.
This concludes lecture number 1 of the Dharma Dojo series titled Sexual Transformation in Mahayana Scriptures by Reverend Dr. Masaki Matsubara. Rissho Koseikai International of North America offers classes on Buddhism, free special lectures, holds online gatherings, and practices chanting. Please visit our website at www.rkina.org to sign up on our email list to find out about upcoming events. Arkina is a non-profit Buddhist organization and is supported entirely by your contributions. You play a key role to help us spread the Dharma. Your generous donations support us in bringing you more interesting events and programs that shares the Dharma for all. Thank you for joining the movement to bring peace to our families, communities, countries, and to the world.